There's a very similar strong feedback from the jurors about another portal. I don't have a screenshot for them, the VIAM developer portal, VIAM developer portal, that they do an amazing job in motivating and engaging their developers. VIAM is in the business of robotics. So, and well, some people said like, yeah, well, duh, it's very easy to motivate people with luxury car brands and with robotics, but that's also a skill. I mean, know your audience, know the business you're in, and play on your strong points. That is a skill, and you should play on that. The Mercedes-Benz data products have a system status page that I'm showing you right now. And the status and the incident history is information that you would definitely want to find once you're working or you are still evaluating APIs. This is a very elegant overview table, and the history is also explorable below. Let me show you another elegant status page. This is the Shell developer portal. And do notice the option to specifically search for the one you are looking for, to filter for past and present. And of course, you get a general overview if you want to. The US Bank Developer Portal does an excellent job of creating an experience around their products, ensuring that they are readily accessible through the entire journey. This is also one of the award-winning portals. And here the jury was particularly impressed with the detailed descriptions that they give for each product. They clearly articulate the use cases and answer this question, why would I use this product? Additionally, the search functionality stands out, featuring advanced filtering options and relevant results that further enhances findability. Another award-winning portal, the WorldPay Developer Portal. They have developed a simple yet effective experience that clearly highlights their products and catalog. And their thoughtful user filters ensures that users from around the globe can find solutions that work for them. The jury was extremely impressed that they not only provided an excellent catalog experience, but also demonstrated innovation with their Solution Finder feature, which helps users from diverse audiences to find a solution that best meets their use cases. The Payments Hub Developer Portal is another example for how can you excellently guide your users to find a product that fits their constraints, while you keep them in the overview as well. This screenshot is from the PandaDoc Developer Portal. This is an example of how much you can actually achieve with some attention and forethought. So I don't think you can read it on the streaming, but so what it says under the heading is that here's a breakdown of the embedding use cases, so you can choose the one that suits your needs. Like, this is very simple, very effective. There's no fluff, and it's particularly helpful. So I'm going against the general hype spirit here, but not all solutions comparisons have to be AI powered. It can be complementary, and some people really, really love tables. And such simple overviews can go a long way instead of nothing at all, or something that is just hallucinated. I also want to pull your attention to a very small nuance at the bottom, tiny letters with the little clock icon. This says it has been updated 3 months ago at the time of the screenshot. Now, this is just a clear indication of how long ago this page was updated. And this information, honestly, this is neither here nor there, because it could have been a typo that they have changed. They could have formatted the title differently, but they might have given new information. You don't know that. But what it does when you see how long this was updated, as long as it's not years, is the transparency towards, we're willing to tell you when we did anything with this page, and we're willing to keep doing that. So this transparency works a lot towards people trusting your documentation and the products. And if you go any further on the same PandaDoc portal, here's another example. This is a workflow, very, very, very simply illustrated. And this is a really great way of helping your users with the cognitive load and to truly understand the use case. These diagrams, although maybe not everyone loves tables like I do, but I think many, many, many people like flow diagrams. And it's really helpful, especially in a high cognitive load situation. And when your visitor is not so technically inclined, use cases are very helpful. At the minimum, when you land on an entry point, you should see, what do we do? What do we offer to solve this problem? Even if the explanation is not packaged as a use case, but as intro content, as wayfinding, anything. Show how you as the provider solves these problems using these APIs. If your portal's visitor doesn't actually know the company, a simple sheer API catalog can get very confusing. If they don't know the company, if they don't know your namespace, if they don't know your domain at all, just the catalog and the API names can really, really quickly get very confusing. So try informing your user what your company does in a few sentences. You don't need to put superlatives. It will not get in their way. It helps them to find a solution to their problem, even without the industry knowledge. For example, this is the UPS developer portal, and well, it's a screenshot of a video. So they give a video that illustrates how their own internal customer is using the UPS API internally to make the assessment whether to deliver or not to deliver. This is a testimonial. This was a very eye-popping experience at the time because it's not just a case study, but it's really a testament to solving the exact use case. And it helps to understand the customer segment, the API portfolio, how they solve the customer's problems. Postcoder API documentation site is also an award winner from 2024. The site covers easily understandable use cases compared to maybe not so easily understandable ones. What is laudable here is that the copy, it doesn't presume that everybody knows this industry space. So postcode, it relates very closely and clearly to our everyday lives. But they take the space and give it an awesome spot on description. Under the header documentation, you can read postcoder is the API for address lookup and form validation. Now, probably if someone is at the point of looking at the postcoder developer portal, they could have the hubris of assuming that they already know where they are. What does this company do? But still, they do give this. And it's a form of courtesy, but it also helps towards lowering the cognitive load on their visitors and helping them put at ease. This is that every page is page one mindset and embracing that you don't know who's visiting. The jury also called out the concise descriptions, the focus on the use cases, the quick start guides, and the pricing details, which made their offerings very easy to understand and to assess as a prospective user. When the jury evaluated the portals nominated in the best served API business model category last year, they emphasized that the empathy for the user's journey is critical. They favored portals for awards that guided their users through a product overview, the examples of the business problems that the products solve, and the workflows that connect the solutions to the APIs. The goal was for users to easily locate relevant APIs, quickly perform a successful test API call, and confidently determine whether the offering meets their needs. Also, they noted that the release notes, the status pages, the change logs, the last change timestamps, all of these communicate that the products are well maintained. However, for large-scale platforms, these vast amount of offerings and the complexity is a significant issue. It is really challenging to show how multiple APIs work together to solve various use cases. And I'm not only talking on a technical architectural level, I'm talking from the user's point of view. There's a lot of namespace collision, for example. This requires a very sophisticated translation between the business products and their associated APIs. And some portals handle this complexity better than others, provide a clear link between the products, the APIs, and the problems that they solve. I have the example of the Sabre Developer Studio. This is an example for how they make a very complex space discoverable. So not only can you find what you need and decide if it fits the constraints of your own use case, but they even put a really cool user experience on it. And what you see here, this is the result of an enormous amount of product leadership, UX research and design, and a lot of documentation work. The same portals, I have the example. This is the workflow illustration for car reservations. They explain this in the guides, and they spell out in two different ways how to spring up which APIs. And so notice that they also give alternatives. And then this is the end of the examples. And if you were wondering, why was the AI here? Why was I not showing the AI? So I have a lot to say about that. But since I wanted to constrain this talk to the DevPortal Awards 2023 and 2024, I'm going to talk from that perspective. And so one simple truth is that all of the portals that I have shown, they are already having a head start towards layering any AI augmentation because they have thought through their offerings and the dependencies among them, and because they have professionally written and maintained documentation that they work with, and they know how their users work, what do they want, who are they. So the awards opened a new category, artificial intelligence augmented user experiences on developer portals in 2024. We had very few nominations. And one of the jurors put it very bracingly, honestly. She said, I am very excited when I see AI augmented search on sites. And my initial thoughts are like, wow, they must have a lot of faith in the documentation. The catch with large language models currently is that the quality of the outputs, as you know, depends directly on the quality of the input. Currently, there's a very few customer-facing examples of AI-augmented developer docs in the wild that also work very well. It is also a shared pain point that keeps being noted, that the privacy policies are not clearly spelled out or not at all, or are put under a blanket statement pointing to the overall corporate privacy policy. So you don't know what happens to the search words that you enter. You don't know. Contrary to what the expectations were, that there would suddenly be intelligent chatbots everywhere, successfully answering all of your interface-related inquiries, and autonomous AI agents answering all your commercial sites will be solved this way. On commercial sites, this is a complex use case with a very complex solution. And if it's badly done, it can become a business liability. There is a lot of experimentation, but very little is externally deployed at this point. So from private questions and from an aggregate experience, we believe that currently most of these projects are internal facing, and even so still in an experimental phase. Especially in those corporations where the docs are in large or fragmented silos, the AI augmented documentation solutions are probably not yet widely used for external user-facing content generation, but they are used rather as internal and highly confidential reg solutions. And that's probably for the better. It's better than hallucinating towards your clients, I would say. So some advice, and then I'll quickly round up the presentation. What can you do to leverage AI to make it easier to find relevant content? You can discover new possibilities. For example, these are the things that we expect to see soon. One of them is cognitive search, where the search system uses natural language processing to understand developer intent and to provide recommendations beyond just keyword matching. For instance, if a developer types recommendation system, the AI could suggest related APIs for recommendation engines and machine learning alongside articles and tutorials on building such systems. We expect to see content personalization based on the browsing behavior, our previous interactions with the portal, to have dynamically adapting content to some extent. This is absolutely not a new concept, but the realm of the possible has extended a lot. We expect to see predictive suggestions and support that documentation would add machine learning to predict what other tools or services might be useful. For example, that you could guide the developer and introduce them to new features or integration methods. And so, two notes of caution. One of them is that if you are building this within your own team, keep in sight that tracking user behavior has legal and moral implications. It's region dependent and it cannot be disregarded. Another note of caution is this very well-known thing that traditional marketing metrics on user behavior and making assumptions on that does not one-to-one apply for docs. A lot of it stands true, but not everything. One very classic example is if somebody bounced in 10 seconds, is that because the content was spot on or because it wasn't at all what they were looking for? That 10 seconds doesn't tell you that. So technical docs, although it is a form of content marketing, it is not directly long-form marketing. However, if you are asking the nutshell advice, so should we like write content differently for machine consumptions? The answer is definitely no. The way many technical writers and people working on a field put it, to it like very succinctly, they say write for humans, but structure the content for machines, and then hopefully you're going to win. And then, of course, the most obvious thing is that findability ends when somebody finds the product that fits their needs. So not just something, but something that they actually can use. And another one comes from one of our jurors who said, now, knowing all of this, don't ever forget that it's very important to name your APIs with meaningful, distinct names and descriptions, because a lot of your users will still use Control F to find what they're looking for. If you would like to keep being updated on research findings on DevPortals and enterprise API documentation, I would like to invite you to subscribe to the biweekly newsletter that I'm the editor of. It's the link bit.ly/developerportals, or contact me directly. Thank you for your attention. The nominations are open for the 2023 awards. They are open until midsummer. And for that, or for any inspiration, including past nominees, winners, categories, visit the devportalawards.org site. And I thank you for your attention.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. That was a great presentation. I have one question to follow up quickly before we go to the questions in the crowd. So, you talked about the dependency on AI over time with like dev portals and stuff like that. And I'm wondering, do you think the way the AI that are going to be used for like this type of portals, right, is going to is going to be a lot different. Like the way the AI are trained is going to be different from the way the regular AI, like the ChatGPT, are trained with the right information on all of that. Like, is there a special mechanism that you think should be considered when training AIs for like documentations and dev portals?
I can't answer this on a very technical level because I'm not a technical person. I'm not building these models and I'm not training these models. So I'm just gonna say what comes to my mind, but please know that I don't create these models. I think when it comes to a very large portfolio, where you're really trying to help people find the exact solution that they need. So you're not talking about top of the marketing funnel findability, but real business solutions and a deal center.
Yeah.
Probably currently, there is a necessity for retrieval augmented generation. So they will lock in the search into their own content base. I don't know if there is experimentation training their own models. I believe so, but none of that is much publicized yet. Where we are very active is that because here we're talking about technical information that is being used for integrations, for building integrations, the metadata is going to become very important. Building up taxonomies right, and serving the semantic layers and the contextual information. So both the very fundamentals and the business logic that connects these things, both of them are going to become very strong. I think that the tag of how we are exposing this information is going to so rapidly change on us that there's not even a point in future gazing right now. One of my colleagues said, like, yeah, think floppy disks if you're old enough to know what those were. Things are changing fast. But the fact that the information needs to be well structured, spot on, cleaned up, machine readable, and so on and so forth, is not going to change that fast. Also, one future predicting that we are seeing or certainly hoping for is that there's not going to be one machine, one model that is going to be ruling them all, but that there's going to be many models. And that so it is going to be going more towards where the model context protocol is going now, to create your own knowledge base, add a wrapping layer, and through that wrapping layer, expose your knowledge base to any agent that is searching your body of content, rather than trying to give a one way of looking.
Okay. All right. Thank you for answering that. Are there any more questions from YouTube or LinkedIn so far?
Yes. All right, there are no much questions, but there are some few questions that was able to gather from some members of the community from other of our platforms. So maybe I don't know if it's time for me to ask those questions or.
Yeah, I think we can go over the questions now.
Okay, I think I've shared some of the questions with you already, Laura, and just to go over them. Yeah, someone asked the question in one of our groups, and she was like, what's different? How can someone that is getting to data writing for the first time, how can someone get to data writing for the first time understand the concept of discoverability and findability in a document, practically speaking?
Could you repeat the question, please? I didn't understand the third and the fourth word.
Okay. Yeah, I said someone was asking that how can a new build, someone that is entering to technical testing for the first time, how can she or how can the person understand the concept of findability and discoverability in a documentation?
Um, so if I understand correctly, as a user, I think I think it is a bit more instinctive. We look for things without, as users, we don't say, "Oh, I'm going to discover now. I'm going to find now. I'm going to search now." I think in our everyday own behavior, we're like searching, and we don't often realize that we have different manners of searching. We have different moduses of searching. Um, but if you are asking how somebody who's trying to serve their audience can profoundly understand the difference, is if that is the question, I was thinking about this slightly ethically questionable example of taking a photo of my teenage daughter's room, and the that looks sometimes like a tornado went over it, and then say, okay, so find me that exact thing here, or find me something red. And that is the difference between findability and discoverability, I think, if you understand the example. Did I answer to the point?
That's a good instance.
All right, thank you very much, Dora. I think Anita can ask before I ask the next question, if after she has any questions to ask from my end.
Yeah, so talking about like the findability, right? How do you, is there like metrics that you can use to benchmark whether or not a site is, certified to be say class or like qualified as findable or discoverable? Now, like there's so many portals that you've listed and their dashboard, like they all look good, right? They look like they have one or two traits that made them stand out for these awards. So, like, are there metrics that people should look out for to, benchmark their own developer portals as well?
I believe so. I do have to tell you that I'm not an information architecture professional. I would look through different perspectives. And that would be looking at the taxonomy, looking at the tagging, looking at how search works. I would also potentially run some accessibility tests, because good accessibility scores um, correlate with findability in some aspects, certainly machine readability. I would ask users of different groups who are part of the industry, who are not part of the industry, to execute certain tasks.
Okay.
And I would observe them, or even ask them to narrate what they are doing. So there's different levels to this.
Okay. Um, all right. Thank you for pointing that out. We are currently on the clock. There's so many other questions that we had, but we're currently on the clock, and I wouldn't want to take any more of your time. But you did say we can also reach out to you much later if we have any more questions. And so we're going to drop the details of how people can also get in touch with you on socials, so they can connect for those that have more questions regarding discoverability of developer portals. And also, we would be needing some of the links you mentioned for the event, API event, so that we can also attach it.
Okay, Then maybe I send an email to Duo with these. And if you would like to get in touch with me directly, I indeed the LinkedIn profile and then direct messages would probably be the fastest.
Okay, awesome. Thank you
And
so
I
much.
hopefully see you at the AI Docs conference. And
Yeah, I look forward to it.
if we don't meet until then, I wish you a lot of success with the Write the Docs conference that was announced for this autumn. I hope it's going to work well, and it's going to be a great success.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to that.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks everyone, and that is all for at today's presentation. Also, if you haven't registered for Write the Docs Nigeria yet, please do well to check out our profile. We're going to be sharing more details on the upcoming event for Write the Docs Nigeria, so look forward to that as well. And that being said, okay, Jill is off the chat, so I guess everyone can bye now.